In 1999, psychologists Robert Weber and Norbert Schwartz carried out an experiment with just a simple question. Can the ease of reading a sentence influence whether people believe it? Not whether they like it, not whether they remember it, whether they believe it. Participants were shown a series of factual statements. Their task was straightforward. Judge each statement as true or false. The researchers made small change in each statement. Some of them were easier to read than others, but the core information never changed. The result did. Statements that required less perceptual effort were perceived as true more often. The finding challenge was a basic assumption. Despite the fact that we tend to think that we judge information just by its content alone, this experiment suggested that also the experience of processing the information influences our judgment. 25 years later, that idea helps explain a question that concerns almost every website owner. Why do visitors leave within seconds, even when the business behind the website is perfectly competent? Chapter 1. The question. At first glance, the obvious explanation is the design. Perhaps the website isn't attractive enough, or perhaps the prices are too high. Maybe the copywriting isn't persuasive. Those explanations, of course, are reasonable, but they are also incomplete. The experiment by Weber and Schwartz points somewhere else. Before evaluating a business, people first experience the information the business presents. That experience has measurable psychological consequences. The easier information is to process, the more positively it tends to be evaluated. Chapter 2. From an experiment to a theory. The 1999 experiment was not the end of the story. It became a piece of a much larger body of research. In 2004, Rolf Reber, Norbert Schwartz, and Piotr Winkelmann reviewed decades of work on what became known as processing fluency. The review brought together findings from different areas of psychology: words, objects, faces, visual patterns. Repeatedly, the researchers observed the same relationship. When processing became easier, evaluations tended to be more positive. The mechanism is not a rule that determines every decision. People still compare prices, read reviews, and look for evidence. But long before those conscious evaluations begin, the mind is already responding to how easily the information can be processed. Chapter 3. The website. Now consider a website. A visitor arrives for the first time. Within moments, several questions need answering. What does this company do? Who is it for? Can it be trusted? What happens if I click? If those answers emerge quickly, the interaction continues. If they require unnecessary effort, uncertainty arises. Nothing about the company may have changed, only the effort needed to understand it. That distinction matters, because visitors do not experience processing fluency as mental effort. They experience it as a feeling. The website feels clear or confusing, professional or uncertain. Those impressions often appear before any deliberate analysis begins. Chapter 4. A common misunderstanding. This does not mean that beautiful websites always perform better. If that were true, Amazon, for example, would be difficult to explain. Its homepage has been criticized for years. Yet millions of people navigate it successfully every day. The lesson is not that aesthetics are irrelevant. It is that clarity and beauty are totally different questions. A visually simple website can still be difficult to understand. A visually dense website can still make the next action obvious. Processing fluency is concerned with understanding, not decoration. Chapter 5. Applying the research. The next time you look at your homepage, ignore the colors for a moment. Ask different questions. Can a first-time visitor explain what this website does after a few seconds? Can they identify who the product is for? Can they find evidence that the product is simple? Can they find evidence that the business is credible? Those questions come directly from the visitor's experience. Reducing unnecessary mental effort is rarely about adding more information. More often, it is about removing obstacles to understanding. Conclusion. The experiment carried out in 1999 was not about websites. It was about human judgment. Yet, its implications go far beyond the laboratory. Every digital product asks people to process information. Every interface demands attention. Every website demands decisions. The easier those decisions become, the less effort people spend understanding the interface, and the more attention they can devote to the business itself. The science does not tell us how to design every website. It does remind us of something fundamental. Before people evaluate what we offer, they first experience how easy it is to understand. If this experiment changed the way you think about websites, I'd be interested to know your thoughts. Have you ever left a website without really knowing why? Let me know in the comments. And if you'd like to explore more of the research behind digital behavior, consider subscribing. Every new video takes a scientific study, a psychological principle, or a real-world experiment and asks a simple question. What can it teach us about the way people make decisions online? Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.